We're looking at problem 6-76 in your book, and we are looking to solve for the reactions on member A, B, C, D at points A, C, and D. So when I look at this, I am going to draw the free body diagram of the entire frame. So what I'm going to have is something that looks like this. And I'm having a roller down here. And I have my two forces here, which are AX, AY, and DY. And I have a 600 Newton force here. And this is point E, point C, and this here is point B. So if I'm looking at this, I'm going to be looking at the actual dimensions up here just to save time. But we could look at drawing all of the distances on our frame here for our free body diagram. But again, to save time, I'm just going to move on quickly. So if I look at my whole frame and I sum my moment about point A is equal to 0. If I sum my moment about point A, I get -1 meter times 600 newtons. So that's this guy right here. That's going to be 1 meter from there to there. 600 newtons plus my dy times 0.6 meters is equal to 0, and I have it going up, so it's rotating positively. So I get dy is 1,000 newtons. If you sum your forces in the x, you get that ax is 0. And if you sum your forces in the y, you get that ay plus 1,000 newtons, which was dy, minus 600 newtons is equal to 0. We know that ay is 400 newtons. So we can look at that, the whole frame, and solve for 3 of the unknowns that we're looking for. Now, if I draw, let's look at CE. Let's look at member CE. If I draw my free body diagram of CE, I get CE here. I'm going to have CY, CX. I'm going to have BE here. And I'm going to have 600 newtons here. And this here is going to be a 1/2 square root of 5. And what else we got? That's about it. So, by looking at this, if I sum my moment at point E, I could solve for CY. So if I sum my moment about point E, I would get -CY times 0.8 meters plus 600 newtons times 0.4 meters is all equal to 0. So CY is going to equal 300 newtons. Alright. Okay, continuing on, if I sum my forces in the y now, I can solve for BE, since I've got 300 newtons going up, I've got -600 Newton force going down, and I have BE, which I'm going to add BE times 1 over square root of 5. It's all equal to 0. So BE is then going to be a positive 670.1 newtons. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sum my forces in the x direction, and I get CX minus BE which was 670.1 newtons, times 2 square roots of 5 is all equal to 0. So we get that Cx is equal to 600 newtons. So I have solved for the remainder of my unknowns. So I have A, C, and D. Now I really need to circle this one. So I have A, I had D, and I have my two forces in the C component. Sometimes when you have a frame and it has a roller, you might want to look at looking at the whole frame, even if it doesn't have a roller. See how many unknowns you can find on that whole frame, and then break them up into each component to solve for, and just keep breaking it down and reviewing your frames in order to solve for each member. Okay, thanks for listening, and post your questions on the discussion board.